So first of all, good morning and welcome to everybody who is joining now live, or as I heard, this will be recorded and put on YouTube. So hello to everybody who will watch this session, hopefully or probably later on. My name is Zita Pelok. I'd like to introduce myself in a short. This is my first time presenting, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I hope I will don't ruin it. Okay, so I'm an HR analytics and people analytics professional, and I currently work as a senior HR data analyst for a US-based biotech company. I hold a master's degree in economic and organizational sociology, and I have been working with people data for over 10 years. And the last 5 years, I was working with mostly with business intelligence tools, Power BI and Tableau as well. I am passionate about transforming HR data into actionable insight and enhance the organizational performance with Power BI and report automation where is possible. I am currently based in Kecskemét, which is a city located south from Budapest, the capital of Hungary. And I am a mother of 2 boys. In my free time, I love to dance. I go attend 5 rhythm dance gatherings, or I like to travel with our 35 years old Heimer camper. We mostly travel around Hungary. There are lots of places to visit. Okay, I define myself as a lifelong learner, and I always seek new knowledge and skills to bring to the field. So that is what I'm passionate about. On the screen, you can see my LinkedIn link, or I just recently started a Medium blog trying to share some knowledge or experiences with Power BI or with HR analytics or both. Okay, so why I'm here today? So my passion for employee data and for sharing what I've learned is what motivates me why I applied for this fantastic opportunity provided by the DataGrillen team here in Germany, and to try myself out as a speaker at this new Star of Data event, which is a very exciting step for me in my career and in my life as well. I'd also like to thank Nikki van Rohenhoven, who is here with us today, and he was my mentor through this journey. His presence and support, but most importantly, his time really made a difference. We spent some good hours together to finalize this presentation. So he really helped me to get me where I am right now. Nikki, just a few words about Nikki. He is a Microsoft Fabric and Power BI unit lead and a data platform MVP. And he's working at PowerDobs in the Netherlands. So yeah, this experience has been so inspiring that actually I've already applied to a few more conferences, and I will be speaking next in June in Croatia at the Data Saturday, which is a free event. So if you can attend, you're around, maybe you're started already your summer vacations, then come and attend. So why HR data is special? I would like to give you a little background so you can better understand my motivations and everything what I will present later. Well, in short, HR data is about the data across the entire employee life cycle. This is how we usually define it. And anyone who's working with HR, I think, knows well that this is a very unique kind of pain. So at this point, I would like to reach out to my audience. I don't know how many people we are right now live, but could you please raise your hand or make some noise or just chat in the chat window. My question is, how many of you have worked with HR data before? in your career. Okay. Okay, I see one hand already up in the air. And I know there is another one. Yeah, it's coming up. Hi, Nikki. It's another Nikki.
Hello.
Okay. So those are two people, and Nikki Van Roon. Okay, thank you. So we had three hands up from our small live audience here, and that is actually what I was expecting. HR data and working within HR, even creating data marts, it's a new thing. Even in the data world, probably is going to be the new hype. So that's normal. So for those few people, I think today's topic will resonate deeply. And for everyone else, I hope it will give you new insights or at least some inspiration. What I will share is applicable beyond HR as well, but HR will be a great use case to demonstrate these concepts. And what HR data covers, for those of you who have never worked with HR data before, I would like to just give you a very quick tour on what HR data can cover. I said it before that it is everything from hiring to retirement or termination, which can include organizational changes, reorganizations, acquisitions, employee movement within the organization, lateral mobility, vertical mobility, that is the promotion or demotion, that happens as well sometimes, transfers, job changes, so on and so forth, or yearly performance evaluations, surveys like onboarding surveys, engagement surveys, exit surveys, and everything else what the organization, the leadership wants to find out. So in essence, it's a various data points that is impacting an employee's contribution to the organization's performance. And that's the important thing about it, because HR's job is to support the achievement of business goals through people. So that is what HR does. We are supporting the business. Okay, so I'd like to share now a quick overview on the use cases I have brought to you today. So understanding the organizational hierarchies is crucial for effective workforce management and strategic decision making. In this session, I will demonstrate how to leverage Power BI to first implement dynamic row-level security to ensure managers can access only the data pertinent to their direct and their indirect employees. This not only enhances the data security, but also should equip or will equip managers with the insights they need to be able to lead effectively. Second, we will explore span of control. So in an organization's depth and the span of control is providing invaluable insights during the annual reviews or when planning transformational initiatives are happening. Lastly, I would like to demonstrate how to utilize employee engagement survey results to perform comparative analysis across departments or countries. This will empower the users to effectively compare their own results against organizational results, enabling more informed strategic decisions, all while maintaining data security. My presentation centers around, just a note here. So my presentation centers around the solution using the file import mode as a data source connection. While I know for sure that some organizations have already advanced setups, like they have data marts, databases with live connections available, which is where the security should ideally be handled. But many other organizations don't have, or there is a report requirement for what building a data mart is not the immediate solution. So this talk will be especially useful if you are working with ad hoc or smaller scale projects, and if you are using import files instead of direct database connections. Okay, and that leads us to the last point. What will you need for the demo, or what I will need for this demo? Then I will introduce you to my data source. First of all, this is my table, my raw table. It is in Excel, as I was just saying. So what I will need most importantly to have in this data table, it's the email address, but not the business email address, but always look for the user principal names for the UPNs. This is Microsoft's unique identifier for each Power BI user. You can, if you don't have a record of it in your employees database anywhere, or as employees or HRIS systems, then ask IT to provide it to you. Alternatively, you can go to Azure, look for internet IDs, and look for groups, and you will find that all the UPNs there. Secondly, or equivalently, we will need the employee IDs column and the manager ID column for this to be able to create the role of a security properly. So we will loop the manager IDs with the employee IDs, and that is why this is very important. So from this is what you can build an organizational hierarchy. And any other data is nice to have, but always be careful to not overshare. Data privacy comes first. Okay, so let's dive deep and begin. Before I'm able to create any visuals or do any demonstrations, I will need to ensure that each user sees only the data relevant to their scope. And for this, I'm going to Power Query, and sheet is my source file. So what I will do, of course, this is already a cleaned table. And so after you perform all the data cleanings, then you can go. What I'm usually doing here is I'm referencing my source file. That's how I will make sure that the data for the real level security model is getting updated when the source file is getting updated as well. And no data clean, or if there is a glitch in the data, I just need to solve it in one place, not in two. Okay, so I've duplicated that with a reference. I'll name this table as role level security. And what I will do here is I will look for the manager's email address. And how I will do that, I'll check for the manager ID, and I self-join this column with employee ID. So basically what we are doing here, if we will be in Excel, this will be, I think, a classic VLOOKUP. So we are self-joining manager ID from this table with the employee IDs column. And then we decide which column we want to expand on. And what we need is the name and email address. And once we are done, then we can go back and name this manager. So we know that's the manager email and the manager name. Okay, we are done here. We can go on. Okay, data is loading. Nice. I always, so Power BI is automatically, let's make this bigger. So Power BI is automatically created the connections, but I'll need to verify that. And yeah, I thought so. So it connected on the wrong column. I'll fix that quickly. And role level security needs to be connected to the sheet file only. I don't need any connection to the engagement table. I will talk about that later. Nice. Now we are there. Next, I go to the role level security table, and here is where I am creating my first column. I will start creating the path column using the path.dex function, which constructs a string that captures the full reporting line from each employee to the top. it is where I will do role of security, email, employee email, and manager email. I'm using the email address to create this path because of the rule of security, what I will be creating later. And yeah, there we go. This is ready. So let's get to the role of a security demo. Here I put up already a table for just to test what we are seeing. All the information is coming into this table from our sheet table. Let's go to modeling, manage roles. I've prepared already these roles names. Let's fill them up with content. So the very first and simplest role is the self-only view. When we say that a person, if a log is logging in, will see only their own data. There are some cases when we want to do that, right? So role of a security, what I will do here is the role of a security email equals user principal name. And I like to use this concept instead of the user ID or user something. And there is another associations what we can use here, but I think this is the data what we can easily obtain from our organization. I mean the UPNs from Azure. Okay, let's save this. And I have here an email address to test this out. From the whole organization, I have chosen Todd Lee, and I provide his email address here, and I selected the self role. As we expected, he sees only his own data and nothing else. Okay, so next, we extend this role for managers as well. So if the user's email appears anywhere in the path of another employee, they are granted access to that employee's role. And we will build this with path contains. That's a very powerful DAX for this logic. And we use the user principal name. So when the user is coming to Power BI, Microsoft is checking the user principal name. And if that is part of any path, they will see those rows only where his email address UPN is residing on. Okay, and for testing this role, I have here another email address because yeah, Todd was not a manager, even if we can double check, we see he's not a manager, so we want to see more data than his own data. But I know for a fact that David Hicks is a manager, and let's see what will he see. Okay, so he sees 14 rows of data, including himself. And let's see how that looks in the Excel, because I've created just to double check everything what I'm saying, validating. So David Hicks in the organization is reporting to Cameron Johnson, and David Hicks has actually 5 directs, and some of his directs are also managers who are managing further peoples. All in all, we can count that there are indeed 14 people that David Hicks on this role of a security role can see, including himself. Nice. So the third role is a performance-friendly way to allow managers to view, for example, only their own and only their direct reports data without the indirect levels, without below them. For this, we will use the path to enforce only one level visibility down the path, and it's to avoid exposing broader hierarchy. Yeah. So for this, we will build a new DAX, and I am able to use variables in the in the DAX editor for the role-level security. So I will provide a current user is manager equals. We will need to look up if the email is okay. So lookup value role-level security is if it's manager, because we want the output to be a yes or no. You will see later in my demo. And then we'll go to email and use a principal name as usual. And I want another variable as well to be able to find the user in the path, in the hierarchy. For this, I will create a user path variable where actually, again, I'm looking up the path where this email, our user who is coming to visit the report will see. So this is retrieving the full path of the current user. And this will be useful because then I will build my measure saying if my current user is manager equals a no, because that was the information we tried to retrieve from the first variable, and that's a no. Then it's false. So this person will be blocked from the report. He won't see any data because it's not a manager. But in every other case, when this person is a manager, what I will do is do the path contains, look up if the row is in the user's reporting chain again. Path, row level path. Again, use a principal name. And I say and this is the nice part of it, because but I need to show only a one level below data. So how I do this, I'd say path length. I'll take the path again. And I say if this is smaller or equal to the path length of the user path, which we defined. User path plus 1. So this plus 1 is helping us to go only, it's restricting us only to go one level deeper in the hierarchy. Okay, let's close this. And we have already in David Hicks testing mode. So let's see if we change his role to manager to self and directs, what he will see. Oops, I did something wrong. Let's do that again. Yes, I see it's there. User principal name. I gave something. Why didn't, yeah, you see, it's can be tricky. It's not returning any error. I don't know what that code was. Seems like it makes sense. Okay. Did I update that? Yeah, let's see it again. User object ID. It won't change. User principal name. And now, okay, good now. So let's go back to David Hicks and see his. Now it's good. So David Hicks, he's seeing his own data, and we already counted how many directs he has. He has only 5 directs, and he sees them all Jennifer, Hannah, Todd, Heather, and Isaac. Hannah, Heather, Isaac, Jennifer, Todd. Everyone is there. Okay, perfect. And okay, so lastly, I will be creating a conditional role where the access depends not just on the reporting structure, but also on organizational boundaries, like location and location and department. In this example, um, a manager will be able to see their full reporting hierarchy, but only for employees who are both in Germany and in HR. I would select again the role level security table because there is where I want to apply the security restriction, and then make sure that I'm picking up the right DAX here. I can add more condition for country, let's say the role level security country equals Germany, and department equals HR. That's what we said. Okay, it's correct now. So this will be an ideal scenario for our HR director who is located in Germany. And I know for a fact that his name or her name in our database is Cameron Johnson. So let's test Cameron Johnson's view. On this role of a security model, and correct, he's seeing 21 people. So fingers crossed, we should have 21, 22 here as well. Actually, I know what the issue might be. I made some modification to the data source earlier, so apologies. I don't think I was refreshing on that, but how it should work. So these were a few examples of how we can leverage DAX in creating the role level security roles, and how to build a role level security table that is updating automatically when the base data is getting refreshed. Now that the exercises are in place, we are ready to move into an actual organizational analysis, such as span of control. And for this, I want to give you a little background for the span of control, that this is a very important HR metric. It refers to the number of direct reports a manager oversees, and it plays a key role in determining how flat or high an organization is. And why this matter? Because span of control impacts everything from leadership effectiveness and communication flow to overhead cost and organizational agility. What I brought here as a somewhat reference is during Meta's year of efficiency speech. So this is a Meta link. Mark Zuckerberg emphasized that the importance of flattening the organization, stating that every layer of the hierarchy adds latency and risk aversion in information flow and decision making. Every manager typically reviews work and polishes off some rough edges before sending it further up the chain, and so on and so forth. You can read this for yourself later on. I'm not saying that Mark Zuckerberg invented the wheel again, but what he's stating in this document or in this speech, I don't know if it was a speech or an email, resonates a lot with what we see currently going on in the world, mostly with major organizations, that they are reviewing their organizational hierarchies and analyzing if it's efficient or not, the current construct. So first, I will need to calculate how many layers exist in our organizations. I will stop doing that. For this, I will use the path length. Path length DAX, and this simply counting the items in the path. It's a very useful, very useful and simple DAX. The smaller the number, so this is in the ascending order. So the number one will always show the top management, while on the level 2 is the management below, and so on and so forth. So this is how we can assess how deep, tall, high the organization is. So next, what I will need to calculate how many managers we have, and that's a quick and easy measure. Let's do that in the measure table, a new measure, and number of managers. What I will calculate, actually, the controls of the whole row level security table. If is manager equals yes. I had this column already in my data, so I didn't have to calculate it. But with the earlier DAX, you can iterate it through your table to create the is manager type of column. So now I have is managers, and what I need is to calculate the indirects as well. For the indirects, I will just take the same measure. IDCs. IDCs, just make sure that ICs. Okay. Yeah, okay, it's not indirect. I'm sorry, I'm mixing this up always. It's individual contributors because they are the people who don't manage further people. And I need to change that into no, so they are indirects. Oh, I'm sorry, I kept staying in the rules on this table. And I have a few visualizations prepared. So I will pull in the managers and the ICs. So what we can see here already is that we have 22 managers, 59 individual contributors. And now let's go ahead and calculate the span of control, which is a very simple from here. It is dividing the individual contributors with managers. Span of control average equals divide, as I was saying, the ICs with managers. Let's pull the span of control average into the calculation. So now we know exactly that the span of control is 2.68 for the organization. Usually a very low span of control might indicate inefficiency in the organization, while a very high one can signal overload. As you can see as well on the path, on the different layers of the organization. So very high up, we have very low span of control. Where we go further down the layers, we see more and more a larger span of control. Sorry. Okay. Wrong place. So visually, it looks like that. Okay, so as next, I would like to analyze and visualize the number of managers based on how many direct reports they have. And for this, I will need to create a custom calculation for the x-axis to be able to define the number of directs a manager might have. So from 0 up to the highest in the company. And for this, I will create an axis table using the generate series to make this axis a dynamic one. I will go back to my model view and create a new table. What direct, just I need to make sure that the names are aligning. Okay. direct counts is X. So what I'm doing here, I'm summarizing. I will summarize the sheet, and the manager. That's with per manager IDs, and we'll kind of create a virtual or temporary column to be able to count that later on. Directs, and I will calculate those rows only. Um, calculate count rows where of the sheet. Yeah. Close this for the sheet. And yeah, and I want to take, because that returns me the number of directs for each manager has. But I want to, for this calculation, for this creating the axis of my next visual, I want to be able to look for the max value, so which is the highest number of directs a manager is managing, because uh, that will be used in the generate series to show until when I need to generate a series. Okay, so for that, I will use the max value, and I'll need to take the directs temperature. Okay, I think we're good. And then in the return, as I said, we do generate again. Is it not return? Yeah, but didn't I close some parentheses? I did. Return generate series. Why is not okay? Just a second, please. Much okay. Sorry, I should have been summarizing this, but I did. Max summarized per sheet. Sheet manager direct. Okay. Okay, let me copy my code I have here on my cheat sheet. Okay, I know what's the problem. I didn't define this as a mark directs. I was focused so much. That's why I didn't recognize my return. Good. Okay. So generate series, the starting value should be 0, while the end value, and this is why we've created the max directs variable. We will use it here, and we'll tell Power BI to go in steps of 1. But what I want to add something more here, because this will return us a column called values, and renaming it's not working. So I want to rename that column to number of directs. So for this, I say selected columns goes with the generate number of series, and I will say number of directs. So with the value, replace the value. Yes, there we go. Okay, now we're good. Number of directs. This is how my column is named. Let's see how it looks. As I said, it's just creating a table, but it will dynamically update when you are updating your data source and there are changes in the level and layer of the organizations. It will change accordingly. And of course, it's not skipping any number. So that's the nice part of this solution. And I will use this here for the number of directs. Remove that. Okay, number of directs. Okay. And next, to be able to show how many managers are managing how many directs, I will need to create a number of managers by direct count. And actually, I have that measure prepared, but I think I will need to update that because the reference got broken. So basically, we are doing a very same mm, repetition, but here we are using count rows, and we are counting for each manager how many directs they have. So we don't take the max values at this point. And I'll add that to the columns. So there we go. Let's order this quickly. Number of directs and in ascending order, please. There we go. And we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And let's show items with no data. Perfect. So so now we can see that 3 managers are directing only one individual contributor. 5 managers are managing 2, and so on. It starts to smell like an inefficient way to organize things. What I want to add to this visual is the cumulative percentage of managers. For that, I will need to update my calculations. So I'm calculating the cumulative managers by direct counts. This one. And I will add this to here, and I will add date number of, oh, there we go. So unfortunately, the template I've prepared got a little off. So this is our end result for the span of control analysis. And what we see here is that 61% of the managers oversees 3 or fewer direct reports, while 96% of all managers has 5 or fewer reports. Our span of control is 2.68, which tells us this is a very low span of control. There should be around 3 or higher than 3. And so an average span of control under 3 often reflects that the hierarchy that is too deep, especially in non-complex or non-granulated environments. This span of control analysis reveals the hierarchy with concentrated layers and many tightly scoped management roles. As we said, it's in the layer 5 and 6, so we have too many indirect versus managers. This structure may benefit from a targeted flattening, especially in the middle layers. Okay, so that leads us to the final part of my demo. It will be on engagement. I want to show how role-level security. I want to show here how role-level security can be applied, not just to protect the sensitive data, but also to support transparency and collaboration across teams, which is equally important in people analytics. So for this example, I'm using data from an engagement survey, and I'm sure most of you, so this is my engagement survey, and I'm sure most of you have completed one of these at some point in your career. So we have the employee at this column. We have about 14 questions in this survey with textual answers, and I've already converted that to numerical values as well to be able to work with it easily. I've added this already to my data model, so we have it already in here. Okay, so what I mean, so I've always believed in sharing engagement insights across the organization. It's useful and it's supportive. So what I mean by this is to give managers access to their team's result while also showing company and country level averages for them in the same time. So keep showing them these results as a North Star, I believe could or should have them reflect on where their team stands and whether they are contributing or falling behind, being a retractor for the organizations. So the overall engagement trend. When I designed this solution, the goal was to allow secure filtered access through row-level security while still showing aggregated result. As part of the engagement strategy, we often encourage leaders to look at questions where their scores are below the company average, and because that will help us to start meaningful engagement conversations and focus where the problem is. Okay, so I want to give you a little demo on how this could be solved technically in Power BI. I am using a very simple metric. For the sake of this demo, I've just calculated the average of one of the questions, but we will be working with that. It's the questions I'm proud to be a company, proud to be working to that company. But of course, you can use this very sophisticated KPI calculation as well for this in this case. So what you see here on the left side is what the data is coming from the engagement survey, and it is driven by the role of security, because the role engagement surveys table, we remember it is connected to the sheet, to the fact table, and that is connected to the role of a security table. So whatever we are using from engagement survey to the engagement table, it is filtered by the role of a security table. So this is what we see on the right side, while on the left side, sorry. While to be able to show engagement scores or KPI metrics to bypass the role-level security tables, we'll need to create a virtual table which is not connected to our model. So we'll do this, which will create a new table for a demo. This is my table's name. And what I will do, I will summarize, I will create a table where I will pick up all the fields from my sheet table. I will pick up some core identifiers. I will use the sheet employee ID. I will bring your employee ID, the country, department, and I will name company average, my metric, which is the same as the engagement question number 1 in engagement table. Okay, so I have created, okay, that's the direct context, is okay. I have created this engagement for demo data, and let's see company average. Yeah, I need to update that. Did I misspell something? I might have. Where is it? Engagement. Nice. Engagement. And yeah, a little bit dyslexic, but it's okay. Okay, I'll need to click engagement. I hope it works now. Probably still not. Engagement for demo. And I want to use the company average. There we go. So We see the very same numbers now because we are in a global view mode, but once we will start applying the rollable securities, which we created on the first step, then you will see the difference. For this, I will pick David Hicks, who has a team of 14 people, both managers and indirects. So let's see how his uh, direct teams, so only those 6 people's data or results, are comparing with the organization. So if David Hicks is curious to see how the engagement surveys results are for his teams, he's going into Power BI and is checking it. So what he will see here in this very pure and simple visualization is that his team result is 2.50, which I think from a 1 to 5 scale, I think it's the middle point, so it's okay-ish. But with this installing these virtual tables, he will also see how Germany, what was Germany's, okay, let's start from the HR. What was HR's result? It was 2.97. And what was the country's result? And the engagement survey is like 2.62, while the company average is 2.81. So he can compare himself to all these levels to see where he's doing better or worse. But what I want to do is, because visually, if I will put this out for our users, they will probably don't really like it. It's not that nice. So for this, I want to create a table, and I'll pull in the engagement survey results for the question number 1. Engagement question number 1, and I will add in already the company average because it is a measure, so we can already see it in on the table. And let's do another virtual table, because now we are showing the company average, but because he's in HR, and then he will probably want to see overall HR results as well. So he's not really interested in corporate or the productions result. So for this, I will go back here, and now I won't create an engagement for demo table with the summarize table, but I will create it with the calculate table because I want to be able to filter. Okay, let's not make that mistake I did again. And demo, then we do HR. Then again, we summarize it with the calculate table. I'll take the sheet, and on this sheet, I will filter on department. It will be HR. And I'm summarizing it as per department, all the results. Department, and I will call this column HR average, I don't know, question 1, because I'm using for this the engagement question number 1. Okay, I hope I didn't make any typo. That doesn't mean a thing. I did. Or I just need, okay, let's name it differently. HR. Okay, let's call it just HR average. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so now we can see in one table his own results, the company averages, and let's pull in the HR average as well and organize it in a somewhat hierarchical order. What I like most about this solution is that you can put this in the same in a table, and you can work with measures, but new visual calculate. You can even add new visual calculations as well. Just for the sake of the demo, let's see a check column where we are checking if engagement question 1 is greater or equals to, let's say, a company average, right? Then we'll call him a contributor, right? Because then he contributor. Oh, again, I missed the if. I'm sorry. Okay, contributor, and but he's less than his results are less than the company average. Then, my friend, he is a retractor, and that should be flagged with red. Good. Oh, we already see that he's a retractor. For him, he will have a discussion with HR and his managers. What is he doing wrong? But to be able to present this in a nicer way, I am suggesting to use KPI cards. So make something like this. You can change the values to 20. So there we go. Unfortunately, David Hicks' teams is not performing well that on the engagement survey. They are retractors. Further analysis will be needed to see how are they doing in other parts of the survey on the other questions. So that was it. This is the kind of setup which I believe empowers the culture of transparency in an organization when we are sharing data and we are trying to empower our managers and leaders to do their work better. And what I like most about this solution is that it respects the privacy of the individual responses, and it is it is a must-have for to share the results for a survey and stay credible. Okay, so that being said, actually, this brings us to the end of my demo. I think I am almost out of my time, but please, if you have any questions, raise your hand or type them in the comments or in the chat of Teams, and I'll try to answer you after my demo, so I give enough time for the next speaker. Thanks, everyone, and the Power BI file will be shared with the organizers, so I believe they will be sharing it with the viewers or the attendees of this later on. I think it will be on GitHub or something like that. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.